Pacers Thunder game 2 is set to happen tomorrow night. I hate these long breaks between all the games, but hey, it's fine. Game 2 I think is going to be awesome. The Thunder opened as 11 point favorites, and I think that's just absurd. That is insane. And I hate the way that people are talking about this game like it's already just some like foregone conclusion. The number of people that I have heard say that the Thunder are going to win game 2, like it's just like obvious. Like Thunder will probably win by 20 in game 2, back against the wall, all that kind of stuff. It's really frustrating because we've just done this to the Pacers in, the last 2 rounds. They win game 1 against the Cavaliers. Everyone's like, Cavaliers will win game 2, Pacers will win game 3. Game 4 will decide the series. And then the Pacers went in there and Tyrese Haliburton hit his second game winner of these NBA playoffs, and they win game 2 on the road. And then they play the Knicks. Game 1, crazy comeback. Aaron Nesmith, 6 threes, 20 points in the fourth. Haliburton, back of the rim, straight up, falls down through the nets. Tom Thibodeau gets fired 10 days later. And same thing. Great Pacers win game 1. Knicks will win game 2, backs against the wall. And then the Pacers just went in there and won game 2. And in game 2 against Cleveland and game 2 against New York, everyone act like it was just this foregone conclusion. And they're doing it once again with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And it's a little different because the Thunder are the best team in the NBA, right? They have been all year. They were, 80-18 going into that game 1, second highest net rating of all time, all that good stuff. But the fact that the line on this game is 11 is absurd to me. That's what it opened at. I'm assuming it's gone up since then. And the Pacers played their worst half of basketball, period. Maybe all year. 19 turnovers and a half is absurd. And let me grab the low-hanging fruit really quickly. The Pacers will not turn the ball over 25 times in this game like they did in game 1. I would be very surprised if that happened again. They were much better in that second half. They were, right? Only 6 turnovers. In the first half, they turned the ball over 19 times, and they get outscored by 12. Second half, they turn the ball over 6 times, and they outscored the Thunder by 13, which is huge. When the Pacers actually got into their offense was better than the Thunder's. The ball moved more. I thought they got better looks. Now, look, they also hit their fair share of incredible shots. Miles Turner fading, banking in a 3, tough Aaron Nesmith, 3 from the right corner late in the game. The Andrew Nembhard clip that's going viral where he, spams dribble moves and hits a tough step back 3 over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, they made some tough shots, but for the most part, I thought their shots were easier than OKC's. And then you look at the Oklahoma City offense, and they've got a lot of stuff to clean up. Chet Holmgren has to be better. Jalen Williams has to be better. If they combine to shoot 8 of 28 in game 2, they're probably going to lose. That's what they did in game 1. Jalen Williams had 17 points, but it took him 19 shots to get there. Chet Holmgren was 2 of 9 from the field and was severely outplayed by Miles Turner. Isaiah Hartenstein was better in 17 minutes than Chet Holmgren was in the 24 minutes that he played in. Can those guys play better? I think they will. I think there's going to be a heavier emphasis on getting those 2 guys involved, especially Chet Holmgren. The Thunder abandoned the 2 big lineup before they even tried to play it by starting Cason Wallace right off the rip. I think that's a mistake. I think we're going to see them at least try that 2 big lineup. The Pacers had a lot of success against the Knicks. They had a lot of success against the Cavaliers when both of those teams ran their 2 big lineups. Though neither one of those teams won 68 games. So I do think we're going to see that, and I think that's going to open Chet up a little bit more because they'll have Pascal Siakam defending him as opposed to the bigger, bulkier, stronger Miles Turner. So we'll see if that gets him going. Jalen Williams, I don't know, man. He's having to deal with Aaron Nesmith, who was just a dog in that game 1. And if that continues, then he may have a tough time really getting going. But I do expect a little bit more from Chet Holmgren. The thing, though, that was really impressive about the Pacers defense in that game 1 was they were very content with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander taking 30 mid-range jumpers. I know that's not how many he took. He did take 30 shots on the night. He was 14 of 30. It was the most 38-point game I think I've ever seen. And the Pacers were like, you know what? Like, you can get your 38. What we're not going to allow you to do is get 38 points and have 7 assists all on these kickouts for 3. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander only had 3 assists in that first game. And I think the Pacers are totally fine with that. We will leave you to isolate Andrew Nembhard as much as you want. If you want to split a screen and roll double team from time to time, then hey, be our guest. What we're not going to allow you to do, though, is drive and kick to Isaiah Joe. We're not going to allow you to drive and kick to Lou Dort, even though he had a little bit of success doing that in the first half. We're not going to allow you to drive and kick to Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren to get those guys going. They didn't allow it. They were totally fine with him playing one-on-one. How do the Thunder get out of that rut? Because I know that there's some part of the Thunder that's like that's the MVP. We love him one-on-one against anybody, even though he was like 3 of 9 shooting for only 8 points when he was defended by Andrew Nembhard in that game 1. So how do they go about doing that? How much more of the two big lineup do we see from the Thunder? And how do the Pacers deal with that? I think they'll be fine. I think they'll pick up the pace a little bit. They probably won't out-rebound the Thunder by 17 like they did in game 1. That's the other thing. Do the Thunder, do a better job of closing out possessions? The Pacers had 13 offensive rebounds. Like, that is bizarrely high. And I know that it feels like the Thunder defense was really good in that first game. But, they weren't. They allowed the Pacers to shoot 48% from the floor. When the Pacers were actually able to run their offense, they made almost half of their shots. That shouldn't happen against the best defense we've seen since those 2004 Detroit Pistons. They've got to figure a lot of things out. But I do think that if they go to that two big lineup, some of the issues will solve themselves. I think, look, when you have positional size, you're better defensively. And having 2 7-footers on the floor is going to help you protect the rim more. It's going to make the Pacers take even more threes. I think 45% of their shots in that game 1 came from 3. They made 18 of them. That helps. But I think that if you're the Thunder, you're fine with the Pacers relying on shooting variancy to beat you. So, yes, the defense is a little concerning, given how successful the Pacers were. I'm not really worried about that for the Thunder in game 2. The question is, can they get Chet Holmgren and can they get Jalen Williams going? I don't know if they can. That Pacers defense is great, right? 6th in defensive rating in their final 57 games of the year, where they put together, I believe, the 4th best record in the NBA over that span. I know they had the best record since January 1st. That's adding on an extra 2 weeks to get you to 57 games. So a great defense of performance from the Pacers. What do the Thunder do to allow Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to facilitate? What do they do to get Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams involved? I do think those are the 2 biggest things in this game 2 that are going to decide whether or not the Thunder are able to win or not. Because the defense is going to be figured out for them. I'm not worried about that. But can they figure out the offense? Because it was not good at all in game 1.